A lot of people think inflation is obvious. Prices go up, customers complain, businesses raise prices, and that's the story. But for many companies right now, the real problem isn't the inflation you can see. It's the inflation you can't. The hidden kind. The kind that doesn't show up clearly on a price tag, but quietly eats away at profits. And in 2026, this hidden inflation problem is crushing business margins across industries. So the question is, what exactly is hidden inflation and why is it so dangerous? Because this isn't just about higher costs. It's about a slow squeeze happening inside businesses, one that's much harder to fix. Let's start with the obvious part. Yes, costs have gone up. Raw materials cost more. Labor costs more. Energy, logistics, rent, all higher than before. That's expected, but businesses usually have a way to deal with that. They raise prices, and in theory, that should protect margins. But here's where the hidden problem begins. They can't raise prices enough, because customers are also under pressure. When consumers face higher living costs, they become more sensitive to price increases. They compare more, they cut back, they delay purchases, so businesses are stuck. Costs go up, but prices can't go up at the same rate. And that gap, that's where margins start to shrink. Now here's where it gets even more complicated. Not all inflation shows up directly. Some of it shows up in subtle ways. Let's talk about labor. Wages have increased in many industries. But it's not just about paying people more. It's also about retention, hiring costs, training costs, turnover. All of these add hidden expenses. If employees leave more often, you spend more replacing them. If productivity drops, your cost per output rises. So even if wages don't spike dramatically, total labor costs can still increase significantly. Now think about supply chains. Even when prices stabilize, volatility remains. Delays, unpredictable shipping times, last-minute changes. All of these create inefficiencies. And inefficiencies cost money. You might need to hold more inventory, pay for faster shipping, switch suppliers at higher prices. None of this shows up as a simple price increase, but it affects your bottom line. Now let's talk about something even less visible: quality inflation. Sometimes, to manage costs, suppliers change materials, reduce quality slightly, alter processes. At first, it seems manageable, but over time, it creates problems. More defects, more returns, more customer complaints, which leads to more costs. Again, not obvious at first, but very real over time. Now here's another hidden factor: discounting. When demand weakens, businesses often rely on promotions to keep sales moving. Discounts, bundles, special offers. These don't look like inflation, but they reduce effective pricing. So even if your official price stays the same, your actual revenue per sale goes down. And that hits margins directly. Now add another layer: operating complexity. In an uncertain environment, businesses often add processes, more checks, more approvals, more contingency planning. All of this is meant to reduce risk, but it also increases overhead, more time, more resources, more cost, and that cost doesn't always show up clearly in financial reports. It's spread across the organization. Now let's zoom out. What's happening is a margin squeeze from multiple directions. Costs are rising, both visible and hidden. Pricing power is limited. Efficiency is harder to maintain, and demand is less predictable. So businesses are being squeezed, not by one big factor, but by many small ones at the same time. And that's what makes this problem so difficult, because you can't fix it with one decision. You can't just raise prices. You can't just cut costs. You have to rethink the entire operation. Now let's talk about how companies are responding. First, they're focusing more on efficiency, identifying waste, streamlining processes, using technology to reduce manual work. Because in this environment, every small improvement matters. Second, they're becoming more selective. Which products to prioritize, which customers to focus on, which markets to invest in. Because not all revenue is equal. Some sales are more profitable than others, and businesses are starting to pay more attention to that. Third, they're rethinking pricing, not just raising prices, but restructuring them. Subscriptions, tiered pricing, value-based pricing, all designed to protect margins without losing customers. Now here's the key point. This hidden inflation problem doesn't go away quickly. Even if headline inflation slows down, these underlying pressures can remain. Labor expectations don't drop overnight. Supply chains don't instantly become stable. Customer behavior doesn't suddenly reverse. So businesses are adapting for the long term, not just reacting in the short term. Now think about what this means for the future. Companies that understand and manage hidden inflation effectively will become stronger, more efficient, more resilient, better at navigating uncertainty. But companies that ignore it or underestimate it will continue to see their margins shrink, even if their revenue looks stable. And that's the dangerous part, because on the surface, everything can look fine. Sales are steady, customers are still buying, but underneath, profitability is eroding, slowly, quietly. And that's why this problem matters so much. Because it's not obvious, it doesn't make headlines, but it's one of the biggest challenges businesses are facing right now. So when people talk about inflation, they often focus on what consumers see: higher prices, more expensive goods. But for businesses, the real story is deeper. It's about everything happening behind the scenes: the hidden costs, the subtle pressures, the constant balancing act. And that's what's really crushing margins. Not one big shock, but 1,000 small ones, all happening at the same time.